LA. Woo. He was placed in last night's game against the Raiders, and he sparkled. Baker led a 16-3 fourth quarter comeback to stun the Raiders. Shannon, is Baker Mayfield the future of the LA Rams?
Nobody's taking Baker Mayfield over healthy Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford just took this team to a Super Bowl just last year. Skip, last night was the movie, I don't know if you remember, with Greg Kinnear and Jack Nicholson. As good as it gets. That was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Period, end of story.
That's it. The adrenaline, after this, the thrill is gone. We saw what happened with the Colts. They came out and did a number on the Raiders. How they been looking lately? That's it. No, Skip, we know he's a placeholder till man. So in other words, you said after they just gave Matthew Stafford a new deal, 3 years, $90+ million, does he know what? We like what we saw from Baker. We're moving on from you, Matthew Stafford. We're going to turn the reins over to Baker Mayfield. He's a placeholder. You know that. I know that.
I don't know that. Tell me when it's my turn.
It's not your turn. Skip, I give him credit. What he did last night, I mean, Baker Mayfield, first 2 drives, he was 3 or 4, 65 yards. A field goal, they fumbled. The middle of the game, he was 3 or 10 for 20 yards. Drive ended the half, punt, missed field goal. Then the last 2 drives, he was 16 or 21, 145 game-winning touchdown. Give him credit. But last night, Skip, as great as you said he played, he still only had a 59 QBR. It wasn't like he was 80.
60.
Oh, no, so now we rounded up.
Well,
so now we rounded up.
Yeah, well, you're rounding down.
Okay. Even with that, you know what? He did raise his QBR to 23. He raised it up to 23. That's still 6 points behind Davis Mills. He's still 6 points behind Davis Mills. Skip. Why do you do this?
I haven't spoken yet.
But I'm saying you do this. You talk about, is he the future? Of who? Of what?
Well, want me to tell you?
I mean, he got a future. Rock got a league coming out pretty soon. Oh, you can go to the USFL. Don't we start kick that off in April?
Yeah. Or how about the fan control league?
No. He a little above that.
Shannon, you have missed the boat once again on Baker Mayfield.
So he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Rams next year?
Long term, he will be. But here's the first point you're missing. Matt Stafford had a serious spinal injury. He's had concussions. He's got a neck problem. He got his ring. He's got wife and kids. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to play. In fact, there's a chance he won't play next year. There's a chance.
No. What you want him to like, oh, man, he's got his ring, you got money, you got a wife and kids to think about. And I'm sure he and Kelly are sitting around, they're going to discuss this. But I still don't see Baker Mayfield as being the option.
Okay. So here's the point. Matt Stafford is 34, and 2 months from now, he'll be 35.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is 27, so he's about 7 years and 2 months younger than Matt Stafford. So he's still got a lot of football ahead of him if you so choose to make Baker Mayfield your future. What did I learn last night about Baker and Sean McVay? I didn't know this story that they had on Amazon Prime last night. I think Kirk Herbstreit brought it up, or it came up in their pre-meeting with the team. Sean McVay was on a flight, a Southwest Airlines flight of all flights, going from LAX to Indianapolis for Baker's combine.
Right.
And Baker was on said flight.
Right.
And when McVay saw him, he waved him over and asked the guy next to him, could we trade places here? And Baker sat for 3.5 hours next to Sean McVay. And according to McVay and Baker, they clicked. No surprise to me. What was their biggest topic? Well, they both like to talk ball. That's what, but Baker's, he is a ball player. That's what he wants to do. He wants to play football and talk football. He does have a high IQ, and they are birds of a feather because they both have a little Hollywood in them. They both done commercials. Now, McVay's in a bunch of commercials just like Baker is, right? And they both have a little bit of that sort of cocky front runner in them in a good way. That's not a negative. And Baker said the main topic of conversation was Lincoln Riley because McVay wanted to know what's he all about?
Right.
What does he do? Because he obviously runs a system that produces Heisman Trophy winners, and tomorrow we may get a new one, right?
Yep.
Okay, and Caleb Williams. It sounds like it is. It's the odds-on favorite, right? Unless there's some shock out of nowhere.
It'd definitely be a shock.
Okay, so the point is, Baker Mayfield finally, fatefully connected with one guy who believes in Baker Mayfield. He's not had one coach who loved and believed in him like Sean McVay does since Lincoln Riley. Because remember, Baker said last night, he said, why could I adapt so quickly to all this new terminology? He said, do you remember? I had 4 coordinators in 4 years in Cleveland.
Correct.
Then he had a 5th in Carolina. And guess who it was? It was Ben McAdon't. And I got no respect for him. He seems a little goofy to me. I don't know, and I don't think Baker ever connected with him.
Right.
There was no love there. There was no, because Baker is different. He's against all odds. He's a watch this kind of guy, and so is Sean McVay, right? Okay, because of that, they are a good click together, and McVay was giddy last night. He was about as giddy as he was that day against Brady when Deshaun caught that touchdown pass, Deshaun Jackson, and ran up the tunnel, and McVay ran all the way up the tunnel after it.
He was giddy, Skip, because he was tired of losing. I think they had, lost 6 straight?
6.
Yeah.
6 in a row.
Everybody was giddy. You see how everybody was hugging Baker like he had just won the NFC Championship
Okay.
game.
So what did Baker also divulge? He said that once it was approaching waiver wire time, after he and Carolina had agreed to part ways, so he's going to hit the waiver wire. He said, I went ahead and booked a flight to L.A. because I knew what I thought was going to come down.
Right.
Well, the Rams had the 4th claim because they have the 4th worst record at this point. And he said, I booked the flight because I trusted that Sean was going to take me. Right. And he did.
Right.
And again,
he was the only one that put a claim in.
He was the only one who put a claim in. You should take that to your bank because he obviously right now they got just 2. You say Baker's just a guy. The just the guys are Wolford and Perkins.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the way, although Perkins is the nephew of the great Don Perkins, who ran for my Dallas Cowboys back. I don't know if you remember him, but he was a great running back in the 60s. But the point is that Baker went to a guy who was clamoring for him, who was just hoping that nobody else would claim him so that he could get him for the last 5 games and be able to work with him.
I think the thing is, Skip, but the Rams situation was the most dire because you look at the quarterback situation. Stafford was out. Perkins is both guys are street free agents. And he's like, well, you know what? Here's a guy that has played in the league. He has played some good football. I mean, even at his worst, he's better than those 2 guys that they already had on the roster.
But Sean McVay has closely followed Baker's career, and he knows that he beat Joe Burrow 3 times with QBRs that averaged 93. That's pretty good. He knows that he beat the Baltimore Ravens when they were dominating the division 3 different times. He beat him. He beat him 3 times with the yards I've told you before against the Ravens. He threw for 376, 343, 342, and 342. Those are 4 games against the Ravens in his tenure in Cleveland. So he has ability that's proven, and McVay says, I can work with that. So what happened? I kept beating the desk over here when he was at Carolina. What does Baker do underrated best? He rolls out.
Right.
He's best on the run. He was doing some Matt Stafford-esque, some sidearm throws on the run.
He's best on the run because now he can see the field.
He's
a small guy.
I totally agree. I agree. But I'm not saying he's Lamar, but he has some athletic ability. He's not a statue. He's not stuck in the pocket.
Right.
So he can move a little bit. And once he gets out and starts to move, he's one of those guys who can see the field even better on the move because, to your point, you got a vantage point at 6'1", but he also enjoys that competitive edge of getting out on the. Now you're forcing the defense to make moves and make plays.
Correct.
And all the Rams after the game were just raving about what a competitor he is. Okay, so what do he and Sean share? It's a spirit thing. It's that Pied Piper thing. It's that spark. What did Sean say when he claimed him? He said, we needed a spark, and Baker's a guy with spark to him. Okay? Well, he is. So he comes in as a guy who can ignite, who can lead, and he's best when he's front running, when you get on a roll like they did in 2020, because the team will rally behind that. What did I tell you about Carolina? You got to win game number 1. And he was really good in the 4th quarter. You can't take it away. The 4th quarter of the opener against his ex-Browns at Carolina. Right. He throws for 155 in the 4th quarter. It was kind of like last night and brings them all the way back to a 24-23 lead. And then they got 2 horrendous non-calls, one bad call and one non-call. And it took a 58-yard field goal, and they lost. Well, if they lost the game last night, we wouldn't be having as much of a conversation.
I think the thing is, Skip, that not the last drive, but the drive that got them back in the ball game. I think that gave them confidence and started to zap some of the confidence. The Raiders started to question themselves, like, damn, are we about to lose another game? We had a big lead. We were in complete control of this ball game until the last 4 minutes of the ball game. Now, you get a first down, you're probably going to win this ball game.
Yep.
But to their credit, give the Rams credit. They kept fighting. The one thing I can say about the Rams, Skip, they kept fighting last night. They have nothing to play for. They're not going to the playoffs. They're down. Their quarterback is out. Their best receiver is out. Aaron Donald is out. Ashawn Robinson is out. But they're still fighting. Give them credit. There's something to be said because I've been on teams and I've been around teams and seen teams, they shut it down. You get somebody get a lead on, like, man, I ain't finna get hurt. I ain't finna have no off-season surgery and all kind of bull jive. But give the Rams credit. I will give them that. They kept fighting last night, and that's a testament to Sean McVay, Raheem Morris, and B-Wag, Ram. They kept on defense. They kept fighting.
So my final point is, the reason I believe there's a great shot that Baker will be the future